Hi everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video, and today, final set of card reveals, we get Azir. We're going to see what all these sand soldiers are about, how they work with Azir, and if he summons any more. Yeah, this has been exciting. Expansion starts tomorrow. Hopefully you guys are all excited too, and as always everybody remember that this is rated T for teen. Yeah, you youngins I guess can't play the game anymore. Azir awakens his empire. I really like Azir as a champion. Alright, just in the game too, League of Legends. Alright, a 3-cost Ascended unit. Interesting. 1/5, pretty hefty stat line similar to Soraka's. When allies attack, summon an attacking sand soldier. You've summoned 10 units. So this is not summon 10 sand soldiers. We just have to summon 10 units. Which, I mean, in a Shadow Isles matchup, or in a Shadow Isles, you know, like as a second region, is actually not too difficult to do. There's a lot of units that you can summon in Shadow Isles. A lot of ephemeral units, Haunted Relic, yeah, Spectral Riders, Hecarim synergy potentially with this 3-cost, and it like, I don't know, this is actually looking pretty good with Hecarim, to be honest, just because he's going to be summoning these ephemeral units himself when he's out. There's a lot of support cards for the ephemeral sand soldiers, and there's a lot of potential to level up Hecarim before he comes out on turn 6. All right, let's go ahead forward. 3-cost.
It is time. See what I see. Carry
All right, we know about the sand soldier already. Give us something new.
You dare. Shurima's strength is yours.
All right, Desert's Wrath we know about too. We saw that yesterday. Granting the sand soldiers extra attack damage. Emperor's Divide. I think this one's new, right? Maybe the other one was new too. Alright, Emperor's Divide. Give enemies vulnerable this round and summon 6 sand soldiers. Alright, interesting. Wow. I don't think that's quite as good as... I don't think this card is super good. That's just because you're almost at any point in the game going to whiff, you know, on these 6 sand soldiers, which a lot of the power is going into. It's grant all enemies vulnerable though, which is interesting. So as a 7-cost card, is it worth granting all the enemies vulnerable? I mean, there's a card that does that already. Sheriff Lariat Rose. And that's a body and only costs 6 mana, I think. We're summoning 6 sand soldiers, so a lot more use. Like, I mean, you could use this to chump block your opponents, and it is not a burst speed, but a pretty fast level up for Azir too if he hasn't leveled up already. I don't think this card is super good. You're not going to be getting the complete value out of the sand soldiers almost at any point in the game, unless you've used Ruination or something.
I have risen, and with me, Shurima.
Alright, when I attack, you can hardly read this. When I attack, summon an attacking sand soldier. When you summon an ally, give us both +1/+0 this round. So, when you summon an ally, okay, so this is still like the synergy between with the summoned units, because the additional stats don't really help Azir. He doesn't have any other keywords here, so it's not like he's going to be making a whole lot of use out of them. Unless you give him elusive or something.
Your Emperor commands.
Alright, so I understand the kind of vulnerable thing here. A pretty cool animation though. Alright, second level up, the Ascended level up.
My destiny awaits.
Alright, he's not a 10/10 like Nasus and Renekton are. When I level up, replace your deck with the Emperor's deck. Then draw 1. When allies attack, summon an attacking Sandstone Charger. Alright, so we get kind of the buffed units. The Sandstone Charger is a 5/2 instead of the 1/1. And we're getting the Emperor's deck. Whatever that means. Ascend to greatness to get a powerful new deck. Okay, I'm guessing we're gonna see what the powerful new deck is. Probably in Mobalytics because I haven't seen it.
They cheer on me. Our legacy is eternal.
All right. All right. Yeah, the thematic of Azir is pretty cool here. Well, let's go to Mobalytics and see how good this is actually going to be. Okay, so here we are back in Mobalytics. We have all of Azir's cards, Azir himself, and hopefully we'll get to see what this Emperor's deck is. That seems pretty interesting here. A lot of questions surrounding that in my mind and how it's going to work. I'm also going to go over my opinion on how this Ascended archetype is going to work, if the Buried Sun Disk is going to be a deck that we can even run, you know, in ranked and in ladder, and how good it's going to be. But first off, let's go through Azir again and look at him. So you have to summon him or summon 10 units to level up Azir. You've summoned 10 units, so he doesn't need to see it. He can be in your hand. He doesn't have to be on the board, it looks like, to level up, which always makes the champion a little bit more powerful just because it's easier to level up. I see him working well in Shadow Isles. Now, Shadow Isles isn't going to cut it for the Allegiance deck and the Buried Sun Disk in most cases. I don't think that we're going to see Buried Sun Disk outside of an Allegiance deck. Is it possible? Yes. Is it optimal? No way. All right. And then, of course, to level up Azir the second time, you have to have restored the Sun Disk. And then we create this Emperor's deck. And when allies attack, summon an attacking Sandstone Charger, the 5/2 unit that was introduced with Sivir. It's ephemeral as well, a little bit more strong and powerful than the Sand Soldier itself. All right, let's go over these new cards that we have here. So Azir's Arise or Arise. This is a 3-cost burst speed spell. Summon a Sand Soldier and create a fleeting Arise in hand. So this is very similar to cards that exist. I think Vault Breakers like this, where you use it, you get another one. This is similar to Noxian Guillotine. This is similar to Old Hush. We use it and then get multiple uses out of it. So this has potential synergy with the Tri-Beam Improbulator if you really want to run that sort of deck. But this as itself, we're summoning a Sand Soldier. It's a 1/1 ephemeral unit. I don't think that this is going to be main decked. I don't think there's any way. Using 3 mana to summon a 1/1 unit just does not seem efficient at all. Now later on in the game, they're going to be buffed more than likely from spells that we're including in the deck itself, but I just don't think this is doing enough at 3 mana to warrant it actually being main decked. You're gonna have it just because Azir's Arise, it's his champion spell. But I just I personally don't see it. But yeah, more Tri-Beam Improbulator synergy. Azir himself is a 3-drop, so kind of interesting. All right, the Emperor's Divide. A 7-cost slow speed spell. Give enemies vulnerable this round and summon 6 Sand Soldiers. I see this maybe being a one-off in a deck. I don't see it being super effective because at any point in the game, you're more than likely going to have more than 1 unit on the board at any point in time, which would, you know, negate part of the value of this spell in summoning 6 Sand Soldiers. It's going to grant every enemy on their side of the board vulnerable, which is nice, but at any point in the game, how often are you going to have 0 units? Now, if we run this in a Ruination deck, maybe it could possibly be a finisher spell at the end of the game, which could be cool if we've buffed up our Sand Soldiers with things like a Desert's Wrath through the course of the game. That could be potentially very good. But I don't see this actually hitting main Azir decks in like the Buried Sun Disk decks, besides maybe a one-off. All right, Rite of Negation. So this is a 3rd right spell. Nasus had one, Renekton had one. You kill an ally or you destroy one of your mana gems to get some sort of benefit here. So this one is a fast speed spell that will negate all fast spells, slow spells, and skills. So this will effectively stop everything that is happening on the stack if you play it last. So it does cost 4 mana. It's the same cost as Deny, and we can use it as like the Deny of all denies at the end. To get most use out of this, if you want to get uber value out of it, you're going to have to be towards the end of the game. Otherwise, I think it's just going to be used as a deny, which is the same cost. And I think that's fine. Coming from another region besides Ionia, that's fine. It's a little weaker because we still have to sacrifice something. But in a lot of decks, we can actually, make use of Undying and Ephemeral units themselves. So it doesn't ask for a lot. Which is fine, like I said. We kind of introduce flavor from another region into Shurima with a condition. So it's not as strong, but still pretty good. All right, and this also comes into play, I think, with the Buried Sundisk decks, and could be very important, actually. What I mean by this, and the reason this card is so important, is because it mimics a deny, which coincides with this card here, the very first card that we see here on the bottom right, Ascended's Rise, level up all level 1 Ascended allies. I think that this card is going to be absolutely necessary if we want to use the Buried Sundisk. Now, this is actually very important how the interaction works here with this card and a lot of aspects of this deck, because I think we're going to have to run a full set of the Ascended's Rise if we want to level up our champions. All right, and so now we've got kind of this combo where if we're going against Ionia and if this deck becomes meta, everybody is going to be running Ionia as a way to deny Ascended's Rise. And now we've got a way to deny the deny in Shurima without losing our allegiance, which is very important. And running a full set of Ascended's Rise is kind of taxing for your deck because you're kind of filling it up with a whole bunch of cards that don't do anything after you use it, which can be kind of problematic. And Rite of Negation is a 4-cost spell, so we're almost forced to wait if we're going against Ionia until turn 8 before we can use these spells. So we've got 11 mana, we use this and Rite of Negation, have Rite of Negation back up to make sure that they can't deny us. Now, depending on how Emperor's deck works will depend on how good this Ascended's Rise is actually going to be, because this says replace your deck with the Emperor's deck. So this is important, because then we will be essentially getting rid of all the extra copies of that card and making our deck a whole lot better. And we're going to see all of these cards here from that I assume make up the Emperor's deck. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 9 cards. Now, I don't know if that means that they're going to be taking up all of the spaces or if they're just going to be included. I have absolutely no idea how this is going to work. Does it actually replace it, or is it just including these cards? And most of them seem pretty powerful, as you would expect them to be, since we do kind of want to get this game finishing deck out there that's going to be able to win and feel good while we're doing it. But yeah, anyway, let's go through these cards. All right, Crumbling Sands. So I'm just going to go through them pretty fast. I think we can all expect them to be very strong for what they do, just because this is supposed to be a game-winning level up, right? So Crumbling Sands is obliterating an enemy follower. We're drawing 1. Emperor's Guard. When I'm summoned, draw 1. Eternal Gladiator has Barrier. When I'm summoned, draw 1. Round in the strongest enemy and I strike each other. So pretty good cards here. General's Palace is a landmark. Enemies are vulnerable. Rounds start rally. So this is just kind of like a big Garen. We rally every round. Golden Herald. Play and round start. Summon 2 Sand Soldiers and grant them +2/+2. Ascended's Call. Rally. Summon Renekton and Nasus. Immediately level them up to level 3. So basically a 10 cost to fill the rush. Sandstorm, we're obliterating 3 units or landmarks. Shimmering Mirage, summon an exact copy of an ally. It's ephemeral and we draw 1. And then Emperor's Prosperity, it's a burst speed and we draw 2. So like I said, I'm not really going to go over all of these cards because they are pretty good. It looks like they're supposed to be good. They're supposed to be overpowered because we are using this as our win condition. Now, I will say one thing here is that a lot of these cards are expensive, especially the units. So if we get to late in the game, there is still potential for our opponent to beat us because we have to use a lot of mana to use these cards. So, I mean, there is potential that we could still lose. Now, the problem that I see here, a little flavor-wise, I'll say with Shurima, is kind of the redundancy of these cards. So if we are including both Nasus and Renekton in our deck, what is the likelihood that we're actually going to get a win from this Emperor's deck, rather than from Nasus or Renekton, who are just these ginormous, game-ending cards themselves? So I think a little redundant here. Like, if we level up, if we get the Buried Sun Disc off, and restore the Sun Disc, right? How often is our opponent just going to surrender before finishing the game because it's just an auto win? So a little bit of wariness from me from that perspective. I see this being a little bit redundant, this deck here, in finishing games. So I guess we do have the ability just to, well, I don't know, because we still need the Buried Sun Disc to go off, and the best way to do that is to level up your champions, and you need more than one of these Ascended champions to do that efficiently. So anyway, that's kind of my opinion on it. The cards are cool themselves. I'm just worried that Azir is kind of getting outshined by Renekton and Nasus a little bit, so. And Azir's supposed to be kind of like the face of Shurima, I think. It just seems a little bit, yeah, redundant. All right. Anything else with this? Not really. I'm definitely going to be trying out an Ascended deck for sure. I'm pretty excited. The expansion's coming tomorrow. Tell me what you guys think about these new cards, about Azir. What do you guys think? Is the Buried Sun Disc actually going to be a viable deck type? What champion are you most excited for in this expansion? Which one are you least excited for? LeBlanc. And are they actually going to rework her, or what's even going on? I haven't really heard anything. Yeah, I guess what deck are you just most excited to try out first? Anyway, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow with new content.